As we continue our coverage on the 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children, we now shine the spotlight on the role of men in the fight against gender-based violence and femicide. Khuluma Ndoda is a men's wellness program that seeks to encourage men to lead from the front in the fight against GBV. Now, for more on the program and how it works, we're joined by Khuluma Ndoda's founder and managing director, Mr. Patrick Shai, as well as Mara Glennie. She is founder of Tears Foundation and also a GBV survivor. A very good afternoon to both of you, and thank you so much for your time. Let me start with you, Ms. Glennie. As far as the fight against gender-based violence is concerned, traditionally, it always has been the voice of the women in the forefront. Has this helped at all in raising awareness and even perhaps putting a dent on the scourge?
Thank you for asking that question. I'm sad to advise you the answer is very simply an emphatic no. It has not changed anything. So it is my view that marching in the street and having placards, etc., it serves a purpose, but it doesn't change society. Because let's be honest, GBV is entrenched in our culture and our traditions. Last year I was on one of your stations. I wore a T-shirt that said, "This interview will change nothing." And I'm afraid to say, this interview will change nothing. That's why I'm working with Patrick, so that together we can help attack societal norms. Because unless the men and women of South Africa make the decision to change, nothing will change.
And Dr. Shai, when we look at the theme for this year's 16 Days of Activism for No Violence Against Women and Children in South Africa, it is the year of Charlotte Manya Matleke, 16 Days of Activism, moving from awareness to accountability. Are we ready to move from awareness to accountability? And what has awareness done as far as the fight is concerned? And on the back of that, how should accountability demonstrate itself?
The network is very bad. I kept losing you, but I think I've got the gist of the question. Yes, I think the call is directed or should be directed at men, that we're calling on men to be accountable, to take responsibility for the pandemic that we are facing in terms of gender-based violence and femicide and the rapes and all the things that women have to go through. We have to stop now talking about the victim and talk about the perpetrators and speak to them and say, guys, as the collective,
Dr. Shai, unfortunately, we've lost your audio there, so I'm going to come back to you, Ms. Glennie. And Dr. Shai was talking about talking now and addressing this entire conversation towards the perpetrators. And when we talk about accountability, how should accountability look like?
You with us, Patrick?
So I'm back. I lost connectivity. I was saying this is the call that is directed at South African men, that they must address gender-based violence from the perspective of men. We must take responsibility for the pain and the hurt that we've brought to South African women and South African society, and call each other out. And let us be the first ones to report other men who in any way whatsoever begin to sound like they are speaking disparagingly about women. We know who these guys are. Some of them are, some of us are friends with them. So yes, let us be accountable as South African men and say, it will take me and John to change the atmosphere in South Africa, to change the environment, to stop gender-based violence. We must begin to talk to each other and talk quite strongly to each other. If it needs be, let me be the one who goes out to report to the police or through public media or phone the the radio stations or television stations like you guys to say, Mr. So-and-so is my friend. He's threatening to do harm to his partner, or he has expressed a desire to go and rape. There is so many things that are happening that we are silent about. So that, and I'm saying this based on the unfortunate situation in Protea Glen a couple of weeks ago, where a chopped up body of a woman was found in the freezer. And a friend to the perpetrator was giving an account of things that happened prior to the commitment of the killing and the chopping up. So somebody knew, this guy knew that his friend had somehow was not okay. He was changing girlfriends, left and right. But he kept quiet. He only came out after. Now, that's not accountability. But also, we are saying this call, accountability, it also talks to families to say, what is your role? Because when your son is being abusive, but you keep quiet about that, you're not proactive, you're not preventing. I know if my son ever shows signs of having abused or molested or threatened to molest or abuse his girlfriend or his partner, I will take action. I'll be the first one to say, boy, I'm walking you straight to the cop station and deposit you there. I'll be the first one to say, I'm opening a charge against my son for having violated
and perhaps
threatened to.
And perhaps let's pause there, Ntate Shai, which leads me to my next question to you, Ms. Ngubeni. How is government's response towards gender-based violence? Ntate Shai spoke about talking to men, awareness, holding men to account, the impact of peer mentorship and peer accountability. But then there's also the side of law and law enforcement. How has the South African government dealt with the issue of gender-based violence?
One of the very sad things about our country is that we have some of the best gender-based violence laws in the world, but we do not execute them. The police are failing us. The courts are failing us. In fact, women across South Africa are being failed by the very system. So, of course, there are individuals who are amazing, and thank goodness at Tears we have the opportunity of working them. But by and large, it is a total failure. People posture in Parliament, posture on the steps of the union buildings, and give a lot of lip service to what's going to be done about gender-based violence. But they're very far from the grassroots where Patrick and I work every day, where we see broken people with broken lives. And so I would say, if we treated this scourge of gender-based violence with even half the impetus that we teach in the scourge of COVID, we would have made an impact. But we don't seem to have any enthusiasm in the government or any of their organizations. They're busy passing budgets and shuffling papers and having another Bosmerad when women are dying on the street every day.
And when you talk about that, Ms. Ngubeni, you'll remember just a short while ago, there was the mayor of Kanaland, who basically continued to be a mayor despite a previous sexual conviction. And only after there was uproar did the African National Congress actually come out and say something needs to be done about it and that it was unacceptable. But the question that a lot of South Africans were asking is, why did it have to take an outcry from South Africans in order to stand out? Could this not have been seen earlier as a no-go zone, as something that was unacceptable? But I want now, Ntate Shai and Ms. Ngubeni, to talk about a recent, I guess, narrative that's coming out as far as reformed men speaking out against gender-based violence. Ntate Shai, I know that that's a history that you come from. Is it really possible for a man to completely reform from being an abuser and completely turn another leaf?
Yes, it is possible. And I am that example. I'm wearing this Brothers for Life T-shirt, and this is the campaign that I started with Brothers for Life way back in 2010, and I've been on my journey my transformative journey, making sure that I don't reperpetrate, I don't commit acts of domestic violence again, since 2010 up until today. The sad part is that since 2010, when we started the Yenzagahle campaign with Brothers for Life, the whole country was excited about it. But we have produced very few men who stood up and said, we're sorry we did this. I'm taking a responsibility. I'm now being accountable. We have not produced or attracted many Patrick Shais who are standing up to say, we did wrong, we are correcting, and we are committed to correct. If we had done that and managed to get more men who are saying, we are sorry we did, and we are committing to transforming ourselves, we would have been promoting change and saying to men out there, it is a good thing to do, to own up and change. There is shame, it comes with stigma, it comes with reputational damage. You may lose quite a lot, but if it is a cause for which one is prepared to die for, given the background of where I come from with gender-based violence, it is worth everything I have to lose, just so I can save my soul, so that my soul can serve other men who will also serve the environment in which they live, and create safe spaces for women and children, so that women can begin to feel that they are safe to be with me. It is safe, it is okay to be with me. And for men out there who want to change, I'm saying to them, come talk to us. Come to talk to TS, talk to Khuluma and Ndoda. We will help you to change. There cannot be Patrick Shai for almost 15 years. He's the only face and voice of gender-based violence. And if it is true that I am the only one who did it, when I've stopped, why is it still happening? Why do we have so many men's forums, and yet there is no impact on the ground as to attraction that suggests that we are stopping? There is so much money, 1.9, 1.6 billion, set out to fight gender-based violence. But it is wrong to fight the outcome. We should be preventing it. That money should have gone to preventing and encouraging other men to come out and say it is a good thing to do. We need to see more men in South Africa saying, I am accountable, I'm standing up, I'm saying I did wrong, and I'm changing. Let us promote change. Let us hear more men coming out.
Yeah, Ms. Denny, on the back of what Shai is talking about now, how do reformed men talk about their past while encouraging the men to stop gender-based violence without perhaps overshadowing the experience of the victims and those who may still harbor the scars that the perpetrators have inflicted upon them? There has been a narrative that you've got men coming out who are reformed, who are talking against gender-based violence, but what about their perpetrators who watch them on television and listen to them being glorified or being heralded for the good work that they're now doing, while they themselves are still scarred and are being overshadowed by the atrocities of the past? How do you respond to that?
Well, I must admit I haven't had a lot of experience with reformed male perpetrators. So I have worked closely with Patrick for a while, and I'd like to share that I know you've got to, with anything, make good where it started. And you have to make good first before you go onto any public platform with those that you've injured. And I know that Patrick has made good with his wife and his children, and that they are part of his campaign, and they speak about the reformation that happened in his life. So my answer to you could be, you cannot possibly talk on any platform about having changed unless you've made good for the damage that you've made. So if they...
Go ahead, Ms. Glennie.
So what I was going to say is, if there are people out there still accusing them, best they get off their soapbox and go back and make right. Because it's not as simple as standing up and saying, I've got a new religion. You have to be living what you're talking.
I must thank you both for coming onto the platform this afternoon and really talking about the heart and the essence of what this particular 16 days of activism is about. And I love it, Ms. Ngubeni, when you talk about making good first, that it's not even so much really about portraying a certain image to the world and communicating a message to the world when those whom you have hurt are still harboring those scars, because a sorry goes a long way. A sorry certainly is the place to start for those whom you have hurt. Ms. Ngubeni, Ntate Shai, thank you very much for your time this afternoon as you continue doing the work around gender-based violence, not only raising awareness, but also moving to accountability, which is what the theme for this year is all about.